Well, you heard earlier that there's no real concern about aluminum because it's such a small amount, and so it really shouldn't matter. But the kind of aluminum that we put into vaccines is a different kind of aluminum that we see environmentally. This is called a nanoparticle, and nanoparticles bind really tightly to the bacteria antigens, the virus antigens, the food protein antigens, and any other contaminants that are in the vaccines that we may not know about. And we know that the biochemical properties of nanoparticles is that they are capable of entering the brain. And so we have not evaluated the safety of the aluminum nanoparticle and its injection and where it goes when it gets into the body and whether it gets into the brain. Do vaccine ingredients belong in the brain? No. Do they get into the brain? No one has ever studied it. But animal studies using the same chemicals that are in vaccines that we give to children directly demonstrate that the vaccine ingredients do enter the brain. We are ignoring this information. There are scientists in Europe who've actually done studies on the aluminum nanoparticle and have shown that it can persist in the brain for years and decades. And so what we're seeing is a large outbreak of neurodevelopmental disabilities in adults, including Alzheimer's. And one of the main factors that they're finding in the brains of people with Alzheimer's is the aluminum nanoparticle that's directly related to the vaccines that we're giving. So we have never studied whether the aluminum that we're giving in vaccines gets into the brain, and we've never measured whether it stays in the brain and what it does if it does stay in the brain. But we do know that vaccines are supposed to cause inflammation in the body. But we have more than half of our children with chronic inflamed conditions. And we've never allowed ourselves to ask the question, if the vaccines cause inflammation acutely, do they continue to create inflammation chronically? We have 1 in 5 with neurodevelopmental disabilities, 1 in 10 with ADD and ADHD, 1 in 35 with autism, 1 in 11 with asthma, and 1 in 20 under the age of 5 with seizures. And the autoimmune diseases are exponentially rising, and we are finding that the viruses and the bacteria that we're injecting into the body, along with the adjuvants, create something called molecular mimicry, which means the body sees those viruses thinking that it's foreign, but actually finds pieces of those viruses that match pieces of the self. And the immune system doesn't differentiate between what it's been told to reject and itself. So it will turn the immune system on itself, leading to an autoimmune condition. We know this about hepatitis B, we know it about the Gardasil vaccine, and we know it about the flu vaccine. And we continue to say unequivocally that the vaccines have been studied effectively and that they're safe, and that's just not true.
And its purpose is to ensure that by year end, we'll have at least 100 million doses ready to inject of a vaccine or therapeutic, assuming one is available.
How does the optional RFID chip work?
Well, each of these devices that are injection have the capacity to also have a small chip. What that chip does is it has the unique serial number for each dose. It is designed so that there is no counterfeiting. It's designed so that we'll know exactly that the right dose hasn't expired. However, that chip only refers to the dose. There's no personal information, no patient information. It's simply like a barcode, only we know instantaneously where and when that dose has been used. That also helps public health officials know when there are outbreaks, have we vaccinated enough people in those areas? That technology is purely optional, however, and the U.S. government hasn't even decided if they're going to use it.
How quickly can you manufacture the vaccine?
The Chad vaccine, genome in human, MRC5. So you think to yourself, oh, let's skip past that, a little bit complicated, must be a bit scientific. No, look it up. And what do we find, Claire, when we look that up? MRC5 is originally developed from research deriving lung tissue of a 14-week-old aborted Caucasian male fetus. There you have it, peeps. This COVID-19 vaccine that everybody is saying is going to save the world has a truckload of shit in it, but one thing it definitely has is the lung tissue of a 14-week-old aborted Caucasian male fetus.
That's been replicated over and over and over again for a long time.
So,
yeah.
You send this to every single Christian-loving pro-life person. Forget the vaccine issue. Is everybody okay with having that injected into themselves or their children? It's utterly disgusting. So you share this, and I'm just going to leave one more, so you're going to see one more thing before we go. This is what they want. I put this on our social media. You can go and look at it. They're urgently seeking an artificial intelligence software tool to process the expected high volume of COVID-19 vaccine adverse drug reactions. They know that this vaccine is going to hurt people or kill people so badly. People, it's in front of your face. Do your research. Rather than sharing this, try and grab it and make your own video of this. As in, I don't know how you do it. I'm not technical, because they will take this down. All right, we love you, Pete. You are absolutely